robotic manipulator system, basically the Canadarm2 robotic arm, and then they will make their way to External Stowage Platform 3, or ESP3, to retrieve the spare SCANT, which stands for the Space-to-Ground Antenna. Additionally, when they first exit the Quest airlock, NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot will perform what are called buddy checks, basically examining each other's suits and tethers to make sure that everything is in order before they move away from the airlock. After that is complete, NASA astronaut Anil Menon, serving as EV1, will go ahead and retrieve the foot restraint from an external pallet, and he will set up the space station remote manipulator system, again, that robotic arm that he will be strapped into for the duration of today's spacewalk. So he will strap his feet into a portable foot restraint, or a PFR, at the end of the Canadarm2 robotic arm, and then he will be maneuvered to various work sites, carrying the spare antenna from its current location on the External Stowage Platform 3, which is on the Port 3 truss of the space station. It will be moved to the work site at the Z1 truss to be installed and then subsequently activated by ground controllers here in Mission Control. The robotic arm will be primarily operated today by NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, and he will be assisted by NASA astronaut Jessica Meir from inside the International Space Station. And while NASA astronaut Anil Menon, serving as EV1, rides the arm to the spare antenna work site and begins releasing some bolts, EV2, who is Sophie Adenot, will be assisting from the truss structure. Anil will remove the spare antenna, and the arm will then move to the installation location at the Z1 truss. And at that point, EV2, which is Sophie Adenot, will then translate back along the truss. So they will be making their way to ESP3, which is on the Port 3 truss of the space station, remove the spare SCANT, which again is the only spare that is left on board the International Space Station. They maneuver it to its installation location on the Z1 truss to complete the replacement of the faulty space-to-ground antenna that was removed last week. Once it's installed, there will be some system checkouts by the ground control team here in Mission Control Houston, and it will restore the full redundancy to the space-to-ground communications system of the International Space Station. Once the installation of that spare is complete, the next task is to retrieve the failed SCAN. Again, that failed SCAN, or space-to-ground antenna, was removed last week and temporarily stowed. So it will be the job of ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot to go ahead and retrieve that failed antenna from its temporary stowage location, and then she will pass it along to EV1, who is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, and they will also clean up the work site while dropping off the tool bag at the airlock and heading outbound for the next task. To stow the SCAN, again the failed one, they will be installing a couple of bolts. And then after that is complete, EV1 Anil Menon will return to the arm ingress location. Again, that is where he would have got into the portable foot restraint of the SSRMS, which is the Canadarm2 robotic arm. And while Anil is doing that, Sophie will then translate back to the airlock to prepare for ingress. Again, this is expected to be a 6-hour and 30-minute spacewalk to complete both the spare SCANT retrieval and installation, as well as retrieving the failed SCANT and stowing it into its permanent stowage location. If time allows, the crew will also attempt a get-ahead task to replace a retroreflector on the forward port of the Harmony module to improve navigation data for visiting spacecraft. And the space-to-ground antenna is a dish-shaped unit and one of two that sit side by side on the Z1 truss. Last November, SCANT-2 began experiencing periodic pointing issues during auto-track operations, meaning it wasn't properly gimbaling or orienting itself to communicate using NASA's Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System, or TDRS. And as a result, the flight control team switched operations to SCANT-1, which continues to provide that high-rate video, voice, and telemetry for flight controllers here in Houston and at other control centers around the world. For a little bit of history, the very first space-to-ground antenna that was installed on the International Space Station's Z1 Trust was carried into orbit on the STS-92 mission in October of 2000 and installed by astronauts Leroy Chow and Bill MacArthur. And the spare SCANT, or space-to-ground antenna that is being installed today to replace the degraded antenna, was delivered on the STS-127 mission back in July of 2009 and installed by astronauts Dave Wolf and Tom Marshburn. The faulty antenna that's being replaced and that was temporarily stowed last week was initially installed on the STS-132 mission in May of 2010 by astronauts Garrett Reisman and Steve Bowen. The replacement antenna for today has been parked on ESP-3, again, external stowage platform.
Space to ground one. Earlier we copied a partial call regarding the safer on Anil's suit. We're looking for clarification on if you had to reseat the battery on the safer or just fix the MLI.
Yeah, we were just reseating some MLI, so it was in a more comfortable position. Nothing wrong with the safer at all. Everything is nominal.
Copy, thank you.
This is Mission Control Houston. You just heard a call down from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. You can see there on the left-hand side of your screen. He was speaking with the CAPCOM, or capsule communicator, here in Mission Control Houston, who for the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers now on console is Steven Zinter. They were referencing a SAFER, and that stands for Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue. And both of the crew members going out on today's spacewalk, NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, have those SAFER units attached to their EMUs, or the white spacesuits that they are currently wearing. And it basically serves as a jetpack-like device should they become untethered from the space station. However, both crew members always have a 2-point tether attached to the International Space Station, so that is very unlikely to happen. And there in the center of your screen, you can see both NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway as well as NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. They're currently assisting ESA, or European Space Agency, astronaut Sophie Adenot into the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. NASA astronaut Neil Menon was moved into there first as EV1, and now Sophie is joining him. Once they are fully situated into the crew lock portion, the hatch in between the crew lock and equipment lock of the Quest airlock, which you can see that hatchway there on your screen that Jessica Meir is currently touching, will be closed, and they will begin the depressurization process down to vacuum of that crew lock portion. This is Mission Control Houston, live from the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas. Currently, the Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is on console, being led by NASA Flight Director Chris Dobbins. And the Orbit 2 team is responsible for executing today's spacewalk. Again, today's spacewalk is U.S. Spacewalk 98. Serving as EV1 is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, and serving as EV2 is ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenot. Both of the crew members are currently in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock. They're at the latter half of your screen, and there you can see NASA astronaut Jessica Meir as she begins to close the hatch between the crew lock and the equipment lock portion of the Quest airlock. Once that hatch is closed, they will begin the depressurization process. That entire depressurization process takes about 30 minutes to complete. Currently, the crew lock and the equipment lock, as well as the rest of the International Space Station, are sitting at a pressure of about 14.7 psi, or pounds per square inch, which is similar to the pressure that we experience here on Earth. However, the EMUs, or the white spacesuits that the crew members wear to go out on a spacewalk, are at a pressure of about 4.3 psi. And then the crew lock will be depressed down to vacuum to match that of space. Once the depressurization process is complete, the crew members going out on today's spacewalk, again, NASA astronaut Neil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, will switch their spacesuits onto battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Again, today's spacewalk is expected to last about 6.5 hours.
Airlock steps 76 and 77 are complete. You guys are go for 78.
Copy and work.
And you just heard a call down there from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. He's communicating with the Capcom, or capsule communicator, here in Mission Control, who for the Orbit 2 shift is Steven Zenter. The Capcom serves as the single voice link between the teams here on the ground and the crew on board the International Space Station. Throughout today's spacewalk, the Capcom will continue to communicate with the crew inside the International Space Station, but there will also be a ground IV who will be communicating with the crew going on today's spacewalk, and the ground IV for today is currently coming on console, and that will be NASA astronaut Ann McLean. And you hear them reference several different numbers throughout today's preparation, and those are all referenced to various procedure numbers that the crew, as well as the teams here on Mission Control, are following in preparation for today's spacewalk.
Speed pressure 3.4 and 3.4.
Airlock Houston on 1. You are now hot mic on Space Ground 1.
Copies, and we're just taking a quick look at switch configuration on EV2.
I see Ivy.
Houston, we're just want to double check. We're seeing suit pressure on EV2 of 3.4. We were kind of expecting 4.2, but in IV that kind of makes sense that it slowly breathes down, and so that reading of 3.4 is good.
That's a good value for us, Jack. We expect it will increase. This is part of the MEDEX change-out results.
Okay, cool. That all makes sense to us. We just wanted to do a quick double check. And I think I lost the bubble on where we are. You guys are still working through 80 and 81, is that right?
That's correct. We'll give you a call when we're done. But EV crew is hot mic on Space Ground 1, if you didn't copy that.
Okay, copy. We're standing by as you guys work through the steps, and EV1 and EV2 are hot mic on the big loops.
Copy. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. You were hearing some communication there between NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, who you can currently see in the center of your screen. He was speaking with the Capcom or capsule communicator here in Mission Control, who currently is Steven Zinter. They were referencing some pressure readings on the EV2 spacesuit. EV2 today is ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenot. The EMU, or the Extravehicular Mobility Unit, which is the white spacesuit that the crews wear outside the International Space Station.
We are ready for you to pick up in step 81 and subs.
Right, we're going to work our way starting at 81.
Again, they were referencing some suit pressures, and those spacesuits typically operate at a pressure of around.
A couple cleanup steps for EV2 as we are, before we get into the Q card. You're not touched anything, but look on the UIA and check that the depressed pump power switch is in the off, OFF.
Depressed pump power switch is off OFF.
You're going to verify the depressed pump enable LED is on, ON.
Enable LED on ON.
Houston Airlock, looking for your go in 84 to start the crew lock depress Q card.
Your go in step 84.
Go in 84. All right, Anil and Sophie, I'm on the crew lock depress Q card, step 1. So on the UIA, if you'll take that depress pump power switch to the on ON position.
Depress pump power switch to on ON, done.
All right, we're going to count 10 seconds as it spins up. You can reach out and take the depress pump manual isolation valve to the open position, and you'll get an alert tone.
To depress pump man ISO valve to open now.
All right, for both 1 and 2, monitor your suit P gauge is less than 5.5, and if it gets up there, let us know.
1 copy. Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. As teams continue to work through procedures for today's spacewalk, U.S. Spacewalk 98. The spacewalkers for today, NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, are currently in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock, and that depressurization process of the crew lock is currently underway. The crew lock pressure is now at about 12.4 psi, or pounds per square inch, and it began at a pressure of about 14.7 psi. It has to be depressed down to vacuum to match that of space, and then once that is complete, they will be able to open the thermal hatch and the hatch of the crew lock to exit the International Space Station to begin today's spacewalk. During this depressurization process, they will initially take the crew lock down to a pressure of about 5 psi, or pounds per square inch, and at that point they will go ahead and pause the depressurization process to complete some final suit leak checks and system checks before finishing the depressurization process.
Decreasing our way through 10 psi on our way down to 5.
1, 2.
And this is Mission Control Houston. You just heard a call out from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. You can see there in the center of your screen, confirming that the pressure of the crew log is now at about 10 psi or pounds per square inch as it continues the depressurization process down to vacuum. Again, they will pause at about 5 psi for some final leak and system checks before resuming and going all the way down to vacuum. Following that call out from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, you did hear a brief communication with the spacewalkers for today. Again, today's spacewalk is being performed by NASA astronaut Anil Menon, serving as EV1 in a suit with red stripes, and EV2 today is ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenot. Once the depressurization process is complete, again, that entire depressurization process takes about 30 minutes to complete. The spacewalkers will then go ahead and switch their suits to internal battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Today's spacewalk is scheduled to begin at around 7:35 a.m. Central Time, 8:35 a.m. Eastern Time, and is expected to last about 6.5 hours. Once they switch to internal battery power and that depressurization process is complete, the crew members will then go ahead and open the outer thermal hatch and then the hatch on the crew lock section. First out of the International Space Station today will be EV1, who again is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, and he will be followed shortly thereafter by EV2, who is ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot. Once they exit the International Space Station, they will go ahead and set up their tools and tethers. Again, they have 2 tethers that attach them to the International Space Station at a given time. They will also turn on their helmet cameras, or their HECAs, and they will begin setup for today's spacewalk. They will also complete what are known as buddy checks, which is where both Anil Menon and Sophie Adenot will basically be examining each other's suits and tethers to make sure that everything is in order before they begin to move away from the airlock. This is Mission Control Houston. Again, we're continuing to provide coverage of U.S. Spacewalk 98. The crew members for today's spacewalk are currently in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock on board the International Space Station as the depressurization process for that crew lock continues. The pressure inside the crew lock is currently at about 6.5 psi.
6.5 psi. You get an alert tone at 6 on our way down to 5.0.
1, 2.
And you just heard that confirmation there from NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway that we had passed that 6.5 psi or pounds per square inch inside the crew lock as it continues its depressurization down to about 5 psi. Once the crew lock reaches that 5 psi point, the depressurization process will pause momentarily to complete some final suit and system checks before resuming it down to vacuum. Throughout that depressurization process, you do hear periodic call-outs by the crew, and this is as they are following the procedures for that depressurization process. Various call-outs are required during the monitoring process, and you do hear confirmation coming from the spacewalkers inside the crew lock as NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway provides those call-outs for them.
We are approaching 5.0 psi EV2. If you'd reach out and take the depress pump manual isolation valve to the closed position, then expect an alert tone.
Yes. Press pump and ISO valve is closed.
All right, copy closed. For both EV1 and EV2 on your DCMs, take the display switch to status until you see leak check ? Long yes to start it, and then follow the displayed instructions. Let me know when you guys are done.
Started.
And this is Mission Control Houston. You just heard the call out there that the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock on the International Space Station is now at 5 psi or pounds per square inch. The depressurization process of that crew lock has now been paused to complete some final suit leak checks and system checks before the depressurization process will resume. And we will hear...
Leak check complete. Go to the EVA. In work.
Copy EV1, leak check complete.
And we just heard confirmation that the first suit leak check is complete and they are
complete. Heading O2 to EVA in work.
Copy EV2 leak check is complete, and let me know when both of you are in O2 actuator to EVA.
Okay.
And we just heard confirmation there that we do have 2 good suit leak checks. So they will complete some final system checks here on the ground.
Both EV1 and EV2 are O2 actuator to EVA. All right, Sophie, take the depress pump manual isolation valve to open. Expect an alert tone.
In work. pump, man ISO valve to open.
To open, I'm taking the emergency MPEP out here to open to help you guys. All right, both of you monitor your SUP gauge. If it gets up to 5.5, let us know.
1.
And this is Mission Control Houston. Following those suit leak checks and system checks at 5 psi or pounds per square inch inside the crew lock, that depressurization process has now resumed. Again, this depressurization will take the crew lock down to vacuum to match that of space. And at that point, the suits will be switched to battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Again, today's spacewalk is expected to last about 6.5 hours. As the crew works to complete the installation of a replacement space-to-ground or S-SCANT antenna. This is Mission Control Houston as the crew lock depressurization process continues ahead of today's spacewalk. That crew lock is now just under 3 psi or pounds per square inch. Once it reaches about 2 psi, the crew will go ahead and complete some additional procedures related to the manual isolation valve, and they will also report initial tether configurations ahead of egress. And then the final depressurization will take place, bringing the crew lock all the way down to vacuum.
We're passing 2.0 psi, EV2. You can reach out and take the depress pump manual isolation valve to the closed position.
Depress pump man ISO valve is closed.
Copy closed, and on the UIA, you can take the depress pump power switch to the off OFF position.
Depress pump power switch is off OFF.
Copy OFF, and as always, it's a pleasure getting you guys to close the vacuum, and we will pass it off to Ann and the team down in Houston for the rest of your adventure today.
Thank you, Jack and Jessica, and hello, Ann.
Good morning, Anil and Sophie. It's game day. Let's do it. We'll take your initial tether config.
All right, I'll start off with EV1. Starting on the left, I've got a left keyring extender that's attached to a small hook on my waist tether, closed lock, black on black. Large hook is unlocked on that same D-ring extender. And moving over to the right, I have a D-ring extender.
This is Mission Control Houston inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room, which you can see a live look inside that room there on your screen. The Orbit 2 team of flight controllers being led by NASA Flight Director Chris Dobbins are on console.
Red reel, closed lock, black on black. And then that anchor hook is on my MWF. On my red reel, I also have EV2's anchor hook, closed lock, black on black. I'm going to hand it over to Sophie to go through her tether config.
Okay, thank you, Anil. I'll start with my right side, right D-ring extender. I have a waist tether, which is also gate closed locked black on black, and the other hand is on my mini workstation. On this right D-ring extender, I also have the red hook, gate closed locked black on black. Going to the red reel, which is unlocked. On this red reel, I have the green hook, gate closed locked black on black. Red reel also leads to the yellow hook, gate closed locked black on black, which is on the green reel. This green reel is locked confirmed, and I see the anchor hook that is going to EV1's red, and I see it's gate closed locked black on black. On my left side, I have a steering extender with the small hook gate closed locked black on black going to the airlock waist tether, and I see both large hook of the waist tether gate closed locked black and black, and the airlock waist tether small hook is gate closed locked black on black on the airlock D-ring extender that gives a good load path to station.
All right, that is mostly a good config, and unfortunately we had a handover in Hill right as you started talking. So if you wouldn't mind giving us your tether config again. We got everything after the green hook on the red reel, but we're looking for your the status of your red hook and your yellow hook on the green reel, and your right waist tether.
Copy that. Right waist tether is on the right D-ring extender, small hook, closed lock, black on black, and the large hooks on my MWF. And the red reel was unlocked. The yellow hook was on the green reel, closed lock, black on black. Green hook was on the red reel, closed lock, black on black. Green reel was unlocked, and then the anchor hook was on my MWF.
And then we just need the status of your small red hook, please.
Hook, closed lock, black on black on my D-ring right side.
Okay, Neil, we appreciate the extra work there, and those are good tether configs. And for both of you, we're just above 1 PSI. We're expecting about 11 more minutes in the depress.
Good copies.
This is Mission Control Houston. You just heard NASA astronaut Ann McClain, who is serving as the ground IV, working through the initial tether configurations for EV1 and EV2. Again, for today's spacewalk, EV1 is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, and EV2 is ESA, or European Space Agency astronaut Sophie Adenot. They reported those initial tether configurations ahead of egress, or exiting the Quest airlock of the International Space Station. That egress will come once the crew lock depressurization process is fully complete. There's about 10 minutes remaining in that depressurization process. The crew lock is just above about 1 psi, or pound per square inch. Again, it has to go all the way down to vacuum before that egress process can begin. Throughout today's spacewalk, you will hear NASA astronaut Ann McClain serving as the ground IV, speaking with the spacewalkers and walking them through the procedures for today. And then also there is a CAPCOM, or capsule communicator, who is Steven Zenter, and he will still be responsible for communicating with the crew members still inside the International Space Station. This is Mission Control Houston. You're currently seeing a live look inside the equipment lock portion of the Quest airlock, and there at the bottom portion of your screen you can see NASA astronaut Jessica Meir. Jessica, alongside NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway, are providing support for today's spacewalk from inside the International Space Station. Before the crew members for today's spacewalk, again, NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot were moved into the crew lock portion just beyond that hatchway you see there on your screen. Jessica and Jack assisted them with donning their suits, and as well as walking them through their pre-breathe procedures and various other preparation steps for today's spacewalk. Right now, the crew lock is continuing to be depressurized down to vacuum. It is currently sitting at about 0.75 psi, or pounds per square inch. Once it is all the way down to vacuum, the crew will then turn their suits on battery power, which will mark the official start of today's spacewalk. Again, today's spacewalk is the 283rd spacewalk, and it is the 3rd spacewalk for this month and the 6th out of the International Space Station this year. The spacewalk today is expected to last about 6.5 hours, and the primary goal for today is to finish replacing the space-to-ground antenna, or SGANT, on the International Space Station's Z1 truss. This work initially began last week on August 18th when Anil and Sophie first ventured out of the spacewalk, or ventured out of the space station for a 6-hour and 23-minute spacewalk, and they were able to remove the failed antenna and secured it on the station's truss structure. However, they needed a bit more time to disconnect electrical cables and loosen bolts, which delayed the installation of the replacement antenna. So today, Anil and Sophie will go ahead and retrieve that new unit to complete the installation process. Once the crew lock depressurization process is complete, the spacewalkers will go ahead and open the outer thermal hatch and the hatch on the crew lock section and place their suits on internal battery power. They've been working through the depressurization process for about the last 25 minutes or so. The entire process takes about 30 minutes to complete. Again, the crew lock section is continuing to be depressurized down to vacuum. It's currently at about 0.65 psi or pounds per square inch. The pressure of the suits that the crew members wear for their spacewalk, or the extravehicular mobility units, which are those white spacesuits, sit at a pressure of about 4.3 psi, and the internal pressure of the International Space Station itself has a pressure of about 14.7 psi, which matches that of about what we experience here on Earth. Once they begin the process of egressing or exiting the International Space Station, first out of the hatch will be EV1, which is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, and he will be followed by EV2, who is ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot. Anil, serving as EV1, has the suit with the red stripes, and Sophie, serving as EV2, is wearing an unmarked suit. Once they exit the airlock, they will complete some initial checks of each other, which are called buddy checks, where they examine each other's suits and tethers to make sure that everything is in order and looking good before they begin moving away from the airlock and working into their procedures for today.
Anil and Sophie, we are estimate about 2 minutes left.
Copy.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. You just heard NASA astronaut Ann McClain, who is serving as the ground IV here in Mission Control for today's spacewalk, speaking with NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, who are currently in the crew lock portion of the Quest airlock of the International Space Station as they continue the depressurization process down to vacuum. They reported that there's about 2 minutes remaining in that depressurization process. The crew lock right now is sitting at a pressure of about 0.5 psi. For today's spacewalk, again, the crew members will be installing a replacement S-GANT, or space-to-ground antenna, on the International Space Station's Z1 truss. Last November, ESCANT number 2 began experiencing periodic pointing issues during auto track operations, basically meaning it wasn't properly gimbaling or orienting itself to communicate with NASA's Tracking and Data Relay Satellite System, or TDRS. And as a result, the flight control team switched operations to ESCANT number 1, which continues to provide high-rate video, voice, and telemetry for controllers here in Houston and around the world. But following today's ESCANT installation, the redundancy for that space-to-ground antenna system will be restored. For a little bit of history, the very first space-to-ground antenna that was installed on the International Space Station C1 truss was carried into orbit on STS-92 in October of 2000. And the spare ESCANT, or space-to-ground antenna, that is being installed today to replace the degraded antenna was delivered on the STS-127 mission in July of 2009. The faulty antenna that was removed and temporarily stowed outside the International Space Station last week.
Okay, EV1, Anil, step 13. You can verify the EV hatch gauge is less than 0.6.
Hatch gauge less than 0.6.
Copy. You are going to open the EV hatch and stow it.
One copies go. Work. Is open and stowed.
Copy. And for airlock, you can take the emergency MPEV to closed.
Emergency MPAD is closed.
Copy. Thanks. Okay, staggering switch throws. EV1 and 2, you can switch power to BAT and expect warning tone.
Okay, 1 will go first.
Yep.
Power BAT.
2 in work. Power BAT.
Copy for 1 and 2. You can now switch your display to Pro to verify functional display.
1 has a functional display.
2 functional display.
Copy. Sophie, on the UIA, switch power EV1 and 2 to off OFF and check all 4 LEDs off OFF.
To switch power EV1 OFF, all LED off, and switch power EV2 OFF, and all 4 LEDs off. Expected H2O is OFF on my DCM.
Okay, we copy, and that is an expected message. For both crew, you can remove your SCU from your DCM, install the DCM cover, and stow the SCU in the pouch with pouch Velcro closed.
One copies in work.
2 copies in work.
This is Mission Control Houston with NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot having placed their suits on battery power. Today's spacewalk has officially begun, that taking place at 7:27 a.m. Central Time, 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time. Again, today's spacewalk is the 283rd spacewalk in support of space station assembly, maintenance, and upgrades.
Unstowed.
Stowed.
Copy. Sophie, you can check that the depressed pump man ISO valve is closed.
Depressed pump my ISO valve is closed.
Copy for both crew. Take your temperature control valve to max hot, lowest numbers.
One's max hot.
2 max hot.
Copy. You can both switch water to on, ON, water on.
One, water on.
2 water on ON.
Check that your DCM is blank and your byte off.
One blank sight off.
2 blank sight off.
Copy. You can each set your temperature control valve as desired. And as you do so, just a reminder to report all TCV changes and best practice not to do large changes over 2.
One set 6 TCV.
2 TCV 5.
Okay, we copy both, and you can report your suit P gauge. We're about to have a handover, so you can set your visors as required, and I'll get your suit P on the flip side.
This is Mission Control Houston. We are currently in a brief but expected handover between tracking and data relay satellite system. We do expect to regain that communication with the International Space Station and the crew for today's spacewalk here shortly. You are continuing to hear some communication from the ground IV, which is Ann McLean.
I see that your EMU TV is on, the one that's up high that we don't use. You can press that button if you reach it.
And Houston is back with you if each crew can report suit P gauge.
One is at 4.3.
2 4.4.
Copy 4.3 and 4.4. You can set visors as required. It'll be nighttime as we go. We see good suit parameters for both of you, so we do not need step 14, and we'll take care of 15 on the ground, and that takes us to egress. So Anil, you are go to open the hatch thermal cover. You'll unhook the strap from the magnetic plate D-ring, move the hook to the tether point, cinch the strap, and report Sharpie lines.
Thermal covers in work.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, you're hearing communication from the ground IV here in Mission Control, who today is NASA astronaut Ann McLean. They're on the upper portion of your screen.
Thermal cover is attached to itself on the D-ring, and it's got 6 Sharpie lines.
Copy 6 Sharpie lines. Anil, you are go to egress the airlock. Let's take the office outside.
Sounds great, Ann. One's egressing.
All right, and as you go out, your first step is going to be to attach your anchor hook on the forward airlock D-ring.
Work.
And Sophie, as you get a little more room in the airlock, your first step is going to be to transfer the medium ORU bag if you'd like to prepare that.
In work.
Okay, EV1, safety tether is closed, locked, black on black, forward, airlock D-ring.
Copy. You can take EV2's anchor hook to the aft D-ring.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're now seeing a view outside of the International Space Station. EV1, who today is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, has opened the thermal cover and is making his way outside of the International Space Station. And he is attaching his anchor hook. And then following that attachment, EV2 will follow.
Black on black to the aft D-ring. We both have good load paths. The EV2 to disconnect their waist tether when desired.
Copy. I'll wait until I'm outside.
Good words, Anil. You can now retrieve the ORU bag from Sophie and stow it on the airlock toolbox. And Sophie, just please report to us.
When you're ready.
And just report to us if you're going to keep the large small ret on the bag or in the airlock.
Large small bag will be placed on the airlock, but it's going to be Anil releasing it as soon as he has his own ret on it.
Okay, I see the ORU bag.
Okay. Towards you.
Got a hand on it. I'm searching for the handle. Okay, I've got the handle.
Copy, you've got the handle. It's still let it on the airlock.
Okay, I've confirmed a good ret on my MWF, and I'm going to release the airlock ret.
Okay, I am ready.
Released.
See it.
All right, nicely done. And Anil, as you go to stow that ORU bag on the airlock toolbox, Sophie, you can prepare crew lock bag 1.
And what?
This is Mission Control Houston. There you're seeing a live view of NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who is now outside of the International Space Station, and following him soon after will be ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot. Anil today is serving as EV1, and Sophie is serving as EV2. You can also see a tool bag that is floating out there that they're getting strapped and ready for today's spacewalk. Today's spacewalk officially began at 7:27 a.m. Central Time, 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time, when the suits were switched to internal battery power. Today's spacewalk is expected to last about 6.5 hours.
Got one large hook on the top handrail, the toolbox. I'm going to put a second large hook on the bottom handrail.
Okay.
Two hooks are down. And get my ret and come back to you.
Copy.
And Sophie, you can hand out crew lock bag number 1. That's number 1 to Anil. Anil, you'll stow that on your BRT and report the status of the large small ret.
Copy.
I'm copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, you're seeing a live look at NASA astronaut Anil Menon, currently outside the International Space Station as he continues to prepare some tools and bags for today's spacewalk, and then he will be joined outside of the Quest airlock here shortly by ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot.
I'm pushing it towards you.
You see it? Stand by 1 sec. I'm going to just get the rat ready.
Yes.
And you can see that it is currently nighttime outside the International Space Station. So the space station does see 16 sunrises and sunsets per day. So the spacewalkers will be working in alternating light and darkness throughout today's spacewalk.
Okay. Hand on it. Bring it towards me.
Copy. And Sophie TCV 3.
Copy TCV 3 for Sophie.
Okay, Sophie, I'm confirming a good ret to my VRT, so I'm releasing the ret U.
Copy.
Are you ready?
And by 1. I am ready.
Okay. That's coming.
I've got it.
Give me 30 seconds to put this on my VRT.
Sure. Take your time.
This is Mission Control Houston. You just heard NASA astronaut Anil Menon reference a BRT, that is the body restraint tether. Each crew member is tethered to 2 parts at any given time. They also have a unit known as a SAFER, or Simplified Aid for EVA Rescue.
And you are good, go.
Copy, go.
Okay, and Anil will have you kind of go to the aft side, and Sophie for the forward side, so you can lead that translation.
And I was planning on rotating towards the starboard side. Did you want me to go aft or starboard okay? Forward, starboard.
Yes, that's fine. We like your plan.
Coming out.
I see you coming out.
Stay firm.
Good, so. I can see your pliff hitting the hatch. So
Yeah, I'm working it.
okay. Let me know if you want. More vertical will do the trick.
Yeah, in work, rotation in work.
This is Mission Control Houston. EV2, which today is ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, is now making her way outside of the Quest airlock, and you can see
And clean.
Copy. You?
Good to see you guys out there. And when you're ready, you can turn on your HECAs.
On, hecka on.
this is Mission Control Houston. Both NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot are now outside of the International Space Station.
Copy and close the thermal cover.
By one, I'm just relocating my left waist there.
You heard them referencing a HECA, that stands for the HD EMU camera assembly, basically the cameras that are attached to their spacesuits that you will see point of view camera views during today's spacewalk.
Good. All right, so you're clear, so we can close the thermal cover, correct?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to kick it your way.
And I'm pushing it.
Nice.
Nice.
Thermal cover closed, Dan.
Copy, thermal cover closed. You can position for buddy checks. And just one note for Sophie, we believe we saw your left safer handle up slightly, so if you could double check that one. And for both of you, we'll need HECAs, MWS tabs, safer handles, and then clear tethers and tools.
Copy. And Anil, I think both of your safer handles up, slightly up as well.
Okay. Just we'll take a moment and do a confirmation. We're still, I can see your right down.
Okay, my left is down as well now.
Give me a second to...
Sure.
This is Mission Control Houston with NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot now outside the International Space Station. They are currently performing a buddy check.
Okay, well, why don't I start with the buddy check here. I can see one green light. You can see 3 tabs are up. And can you rotate to your left so I can get a good look at your right? Okay, that right safer's down. Can you rotate the other way? Double check. I can see it, and it is down. Taking a good look at your tethers, will you give us your hat?
My hat is dry.
I think your tethers, I know your tethers are in a good config.
Double checking. Are in good config. Right, let me do the buddy checks for you. I see 3 tabs up. I see 2 safer handle down. Can you move slightly your PGT just so that I'm sure about the right one?
Didn't work?
And that's, no, there's 1 centimeter. You can push it down a tiny bit more.
Is it parallax? I'm putting a lot of pressure on it.
Okay, that's okay, I see 1 good green light. I see your 2 helmet lights for the light. And your tethers look good. I see the acrylic bag, which looks good as well.
I like that. I'm going to move to the forward, starboard side to clear some room for you.
Copy.
And Anil will take a baseline hat from you as well.
Hat's dry.
Okay, we see good buddy checks on both of you. So at this time, you are go to start translating. Sophie, you are going to lead the translation, and you're going to the port Cedar-Kurt. Anil, you're heading to S1 for the APFR setup.
Okay, leading the translation.
And as you do this translation, just keeping an eye on the tethers to make sure that they go where you want them to go.
Copy.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. We did just hear confirmation that NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot have completed their buddy checks. During those buddy checks, each of the crew members examined the other one's suits and tethers to make sure that everything was in order before they began moving away from the airlock. They also reported on their baseline HAP status, and the HAP is the helmet absorption pad inside of their EMU, or the extravehicular mobility unit. They're now moving into the next portion of today's spacewalk procedures. And during this part, NASA astronaut Anil Menon will make his way to the APFR, which is the adjustable portable foot restraint, which will be attached to the space station's robotic manipulator system, which is the candidate arm to robotic arm. Also inside the International Space Station, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway is preparing for his portion of today's activities. He is prime for the robotic operations from inside the International Space Station. So once the robotic arm is set up and NASA astronaut Neil Menon has safely entered his feet into the foot restraint, NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway from inside the space station will begin maneuvering that robotic arm.
And a reminder to both of you as you approach Phase 1 to avoid inadvertent contact with the deployed TUS cable, zenith and nadir of the cedar rails.
Copy, mindful of TUS cable.
Copy.
How about the cedar spur? Sorry.
Copy, nicely done. Then you're heading to the port CETA cart, and you'll be looking to position yourself to get the APFR. That'll be in WIF 3, which will be the top left when you get to the CETA cart. Anil, you know where you're going well. You're heading toward what'll be mile marker 6870, 6870.
6870.
This is Mission Control Houston. There on your screen, you can see both ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot as well as NASA astronaut Anil Menon. Sophie is wearing the unmarked suit, serving as EV2 for today's spacewalk there on the left-hand side of your screen. And Anil is wearing the suit with the red stripes. He is on the right-hand side of your screen currently. Both of the crew members are currently translating on the International Space Station's truss structure. Sophie is currently translating to what is known as a port CETA cart. CETA stands for Crew and Equipment Translation Aid. They are working to retrieve the APFR, which stands for the Adjustable Portable Foot Restraint.
I'd like to tell you, we've got great camera views of you. Families are watching. Mission Control is very happy to see you both out there.
Fan, good to know. Please give them a big hug from us. Have someone do it.
CETA cart.
Copy. You'll be retrieving the APFR from the port CETA cart with 3.
Copy.
And you did just hear ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot call down and say that she had reached that port CETA cart. Again, that is the Crew and Equipment Translation Aid outside of the International Space Station, which is where the...
At the NTA, so I'm ready for handoff to Jessica at M1.
Copy. And Sophie, you have your steps at the port CETA cart, so we'll give Anil the COM, and Anil, you can give the M1 go to GCA to the publish APFR install ingress position.
Copy.
Need any more comms, Sophie, or are you okay if I take it over?
Take it over. I'm good, thanks.
Okay, and for MCC, I could see a small sticker. It looks like a mile marker sticker that's headed nadir, twirling at about quarter meter per second.
We copy the sticker heading nadir.
And Jessica, I'll copy.
I've got you loud and clear, Anil. Are you ready for the GCA to the published APFR install position?
Ready for GCR.
Good work.
I know you've got good clearances, Jessica, but I've also got good clearances, and I'll keep you abreast.
All right, we copy, Anil. You'll be helping with clearances. We're starting motion station aft in 3, 2, 1.
This is Mission Control Houston. We are currently about 29 minutes into today's spacewalk. That spacewalk beginning at 7:27 a.m. Central Time, 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time, when the cruise suits were switched to internal battery power. You're currently hearing NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who is serving as EV1 for today's spacewalk, and you can see him there on the left-hand side of your screen in the suit with the red stripes.
2 centimeters to go. Three centimeters remaining.
NASA astronaut Anil Menon is currently speaking with...
We're ramping out. We are at the published position. Will that work for you?
It worked last time, so I call GCA complete.
Okay, stand by for brakes.
Anil is currently speaking with NASA astronaut Jessica Meir.
Okay, Sophie, we see you working the APFR. You can just bring that toward Anil when it's ready. And Anil, I'm ready to work your tether swap. Once you have your waist tether down, let me know and I'll read you steps.
My waist tether is down.
Copy. You can lock your green hook on your red reel.
Okay, green hook is locked on my red reel.
You can retrieve the yellow hook from the green reel and stow it on the SSRMS Lee tether point, checking gates and hooks.
Okay, I'm in work.
This is Mission Control Houston. You're now seeing the helmet camera, which is the HECA, on NASA astronaut Anil Menon's spacesuit. We will see these views throughout today's spacewalk. They're providing some point-of-view visuals for each of today's spacewalkers. NASA astronaut Anil Menon is currently working alongside ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot as they prepare the SSRMS, which is the Space Station Robotic Manipulator System, which is also known as the Canadarm2 robotic arm. They will be working to install the adjustable portable foot restraint to that robotic arm. NASA astronaut Anil Menon is also currently working on some tether swaps, moving over to that space station robotic arm.
Am I moving for you, Anil?
Great. Okay, the Yellow hook is closed lock black on black on the lee handrail.
Copy. Check that your red reel is unlocked.
Red reel is unlocked.
Copy. You can lock your green reel.
Green reel is locked.
And you can retrieve your green hook and stow it on the vertical NTA handrail. Then unlock the green reel.
Okay. North.
And Sophie, as Anil does that, if you want to look at the APFR, I can give you settings to confirm that we'll be using to install.
Copy.
My green hook is on the NTA handrail and the green reel is unlocked.
Copy, Anil. We are good with that tether path, so you guys can work together to install the APFR onto the arm. And you're looking for 12 Papa Papa Fox 6. That's 12 Papa Papa Fox 6.
Confirm Papa Papa Fox 6 confirmed. So we are good, and I confirm pitch knob can be depressed.
Okay, I'm
Copy,
in a good
pitch knob,
spot
thanks.
then, Sophie. If you can send it my way, once I have control of it.
Just sending it your way.
Okay, I have control.
Yes.
Put it on your ret if you can.
Yes.
Just going to position it. Almost there.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're about 36 minutes into today's spacewalk.
Black color, black on black. Good pull, good twist test. And I'm going to release this ret to you, okay?
Okay, and I am ready.
And then, Dale, I think you said it, but I might have missed it. Confirm the clocking of 12.
Clocking of 12.
Okay, that's a good config on the APFR. We copy your pull twist and your black on black. And so, Anil, you can get in position to ingress the APFR when you're ready.
Okay, I'm moving to an ingress position.
We copy. And Sophie, if you want to wait and just make sure Anil's in a good position prior to starting your translation, you may.
Copy. Observing.
And so you know you guys are working incredibly efficiently right now. So we're just over half the time that we've allotted for the arm setup, and you're just about done. So really nice work this morning.
Thank you, Ann.
Thank you.
Saving that for the boom.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're about 38 minutes into today's spacewalk, which began at 7:27 a.m. Central Time, 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time.
We're going to have you hold right there until Anil is at the back-off position so that we can get an extra set of eyes and make sure we're all in a good config.
Sophie observing and standing by.
The crew outside of the International Space Station for today's spacewalk are NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who you can see there on the left-hand side of your screen in the suit with the red stripes. He is joined by ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, who has the unmarked suit as EV2. They recently completed the installation of the APFR into the SSRMS, which is the articulating portable foot restraint onto the space station's robotic arm. NASA astronaut Anil Menon is now working to ingress or attach his feet to that foot restraint on the robotic arm, and once that step is complete, then ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot will begin translation or movement to ESP-3, which is the external stowage platform 3 on the space station's truss.
You're doing great, Anil.
Thank you, Phil. Leave my tethers in front of my legs where I want it.
Yeah, in front of your left leg.
Okay. You confirm my heels?
The left one is not in. Need to go inboard, yeah.
That feels good to me.
No, the left one is not in.
It isn't, okay?
Yeah. You're there. The left one is in. Let me just change body position to confirm the right one. Yes, the right one is in as well, so you're in great spot right now.
Nice to have you here. Okay, and I am in, so ready for CA and next step.
Copy, and Anil will take a baseline glove inspection and a hap check, please.
Hap dry. Gloves are nominal.
Copy, and again, Sophie will hold you there. Anil, you can give M1 go to GCA to the published APFR back-off position.
All right, I'm setting my TCB to 4, and to M1, you are go to GCA to published back-off position.
All right, we copy. Brakes are off. We're getting set up.
And we copied EV1, TCV 4.
Neil, we're starting motion station forward in 3, 2, 1.
I see motion, good motion.
Concur.
Copy, continuing. Over 3 meters to go.
This is Mission Control Houston inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room here in Houston, Texas. There on your screen, you can currently see a live view outside of the International Space Station as NASA astronaut Anil Menon is currently attached to the space station's robotic arm. That robotic arm being maneuvered by the crew still inside the International Space Station. A moment ago, you did hear the voice of NASA astronaut Jessica Meir, who is at the robotic station inside the space station assisting with today's operation alongside NASA astronaut Jack Hathaway. Prior to the movement of the robotic arm, that robotic arm, NASA astronaut Anil Menon strapped his feet into an articulating portable foot restraint.
Once you're at the backup position.
Looks good. Sorry.
At the back off position, Anil, we'll get set up for the JoeCast immediate.
Okay.
Okay, with that, Sophie, as they get reconfigured, you are going to start your translation toward ESP3. Reminder as a warning to avoid contact with grapple fixtures. That's on the that's zenith of the FSE. So at this time, you can translate starboard under the MT, and you'll be dropping your green hook on handrail 3217, which is just on the outboard edge of the starboard Zeta cart.
3217.
Good number. And I think that the Zeta card will block the mile markers, but if not, it's mile marker 5760.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're now just over 43 minutes into today's spacewalk. NASA astronaut Anil Menon, serving as EV1 in the suit with the red stripes on the upper center portion of your screen, is currently in the articulating portable foot restraint attached to the robotic arm on the space station. And ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, there in the upper left corner of your screen, is translating on the International Space Station's truss structure over to ESP3, which is External Stowage Platform 3 on the Port 3 truss of the space station. Once they are at that location, they will then retrieve the spare SCANT, or space-to-ground antenna. We're currently...
Good motion, good motion.
This is Mission Control Houston. You can currently see a live look inside the International Space Station Flight Control Room. The Orbit 2 team of flight controllers is currently on console, being led by Flight Director Chris Dobbins for today's spacewalk.
Back with you after a handover.
Got you.
Starboard Zeta cart.
Copy, starboard Zeta cart. Congratulations on your first MT translation.
Thank you, Ann. 217 insight and inward for the Greenland.
Copy, Sophie. And as you put your green hook down, you can start to give a recon to your translation path. The diagonal beam that we've talked about is probably down there to your lower left. And again, if that doesn't look tenable, then you can always translate outward more first.
Copy.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, there on your screen, you're seeing a live view of the outside of the International Space Station. And there in the upper portion of your screen, you can see the space station's robotic arm, which is attached to the end of that robotic arm, and an articulating portable foot restraint is NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who today is serving as EV1. Anil and EV2, which today is ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot, are currently making their way over to External Stowage Platform 3, or ESP3, on the Port 3 truss of the space station to retrieve the spare space-to-ground antenna, or SCANT.
Copy, green hook on 3217. Nicely done. So you can continue your translation starboard and you can use that diagonal I-beam if you'd like, or let us know if you choose to go starboard first.
Okay. I'm going to choose symmetrical diagonal compared to the one that we've reached. There are far less cables, and my body position as well as feathers will be much better.
Okay, Drifting out to intermediate, Anil.
Okay.
This is Mission Control Houston. You can currently see a view from the helmet camera of ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot as she continues her translation along the truss structure of the International Space Station over to the external stowage platform 3.
Intermediate position, we're getting set up for the next maneuver.
And you also just heard some...
And Sophie, if you're going to take the 90-degree path, you're looking for mile marker 5490, and you should see an I-beam headed straight down toward Earth that has WIF 19 on it. That's mile marker 5490.
5490 in sight. So I'm not going to take this one. I'm going to take the opposite diagonal.
Copy the opposite diagonal, and if you head out that direction, there's also would be a handrail path just inboard of the Sarge that can take you down nadir also.
This is Mission Control Houston. Again, you're seeing a view from ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot's helmet camera as she continues to translate to the external stowage platform 3, where she will meet NASA astronaut Neil Menon to be able to retrieve the spare space-to-ground antenna, which will be installed later today on the Z1 truss as part of today's spacewalk objectives. As Sophie is making her way over to that stowage platform, periodically you can see a mirror on her left arm, and those mirrors on their spacesuits are often used to view suit controls and labels as they complete these spacewalks.
And Sophie, as you get out there, just outboard of ESP3, below handrail, mile marker 5250 is where you'll find some handrails that you can take nadir also.
I'm in a good position right now and heading to B045 for the Foreman lead.
Copy, we see you. Nicely done. Great work on that translation. You'll be heading now aft on the inboard side of ESP3 to our SCANT FSE. And reminder about that grapple fixture, just to not come in contact with it, which will be just above your work site.
Now we're ready to take you to the ESP3 position. We're starting motion in 3, 2, 1.
See motion, good motion.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're just over 52 minutes into today's spacewalk, which officially began at 7:27 a.m. Central, 8:27 a.m. Eastern Time. There on your screen, you can continue to see a live view of the external portion of the International Space Station, with NASA astronaut Anil Menon currently attached to the end of that space station robotic arm, which is currently maneuvering to its next location over on the external stowage platform 3, where Sophie and Anil.
Corner that we've talked about. Looks like you're working it. If you need any words, let us know. If you need to do a rich man's fair lead to keep that tether a little more secure, you can. I know they don't loop around handrails as well as they do in the NBL.
Yeah, so I changed the rail for the 4-man fair lead because the 3041 is not an appropriate one. I used one on the starboard side of ESP3, and I'm still in work. I'll show all the process.
Good job improvising.
This is Mission Control Houston. There on your screen, you can see a side-by-side view of both of the spacewalkers' helmet cameras. So there on the left-hand side of your screen is the helmet camera of NASA astronaut Anil Menon, who today is serving as EV1. He is currently attached to the space station's robotic arm and with his feet attached to the articulating portable foot restraint as he makes his way over to ESP3, which is external stowage platform number 3, where both Anil and Sophie will be retrieving the spare S-Scant or space-to-ground antenna for installation later today on today's spacewalk. On the right-hand side of your screen there, you can see the helmet camera for Sophie Adenot, who again is a European Space Agency astronaut who is serving as EV2 for today's spacewalk.
Nice job working that corner. You'll see 8305 is off to your right, and that should lead you straight up to the FSE.
And again, you are going to continue to hear some communication between both of the spacewalkers as well as the team on the ground and the crew on board the International Space Station. So here on the ground IV will be the main person communicating.
It's quite an adventure.
Well, you're making it sound fun. You've got a lot of smiles down here when you get out there.
Yes. All right. I'm on the FSE.
It's a beautiful sight.
Beautiful sight.
And when you're ready to pause there, Sophie, you want to get in a good position where you can see Anil coming in and help us with clearances. And also when you've stopped, we'll take a glove and a hap check, please.
Okay.
I've got good.
So we're ramping out?
Happy ramping out.
This is Mission Control Houston. ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot has made her way over to external stowage platform at number 3, or ESP3. And she was communicating with the ground IV, who for today's spacewalk is NASA astronaut Ann McLean here in Mission Control Houston.
I have a good view on Anil on the weather antenna on the grapple fixture, the 2 grapple fixtures. So I'm in a very good condition to get clearances.
I've also got good clearances, and I'm tracking my crew lock bag and the antenna as well.
Okay, and a reminder, Sophie, you can help us out with the clearances to the WETA with Anil and also to those 2 different grapple fixtures, the one that'll be past his head and then the one that'll be on his left side.
Good clearance view.
I think I've got really good clearance to the one past my head, and I've got my ratchet wrench out.
Copy, read my mind. So with that, and we have got a good heck of you, so Anil, you can give the M1 go to GCA to the published ESP3 bolt access position.
Okay, Jessica, your go to the published bolt access position.
Okay, we copy, Anil. This is going to bring you body left, and I can see your crew lock bag just off to the left of your helmet there. Assume you've got eyes on that.
Got eyes on it, Jessica. Thank you.
And you might have to lean forward. This is if you're going purely body left, you will have to lean forward. So let's observe.
A lot of range forward.
Okay, Anil, we're starting motion in 3, 2, 1.
Lean forward.
Okay.
Clearances. Continue leaning forward. That's good. Body position.
You watch my left shoulder, and I'll keep good distance from the new dish.
The first thing is the bottom of your spacer, but it's good right now. So keep leaning. That's great.
Okay. If you want me to go more forward, use the words more forward.
Copy. You're good. The next closest thing is going to be close to your head.
I see it.
Observe, yes, the dish.
Clear of the dish, Jessica. I've got a good foot clearance from the dish and good body motion.
You can lean back. It's okay. You're clear of the weather antenna.
Okay.
Then
Give Jessica some space in case she needs to call the ramp out.
Sure.
Copy. We're getting relatively close.
Check your ingress aid. Lean back your ingress aid.
Call. Ramp out, 3, 2, 1.
Ramped out, and that is almost at the exact published position. You hold here. Let us know if you need additional GCA.
I think the published position was perfect.
Okay. Can I jump in?
Yes.
Okay.
Are you ready for brakes?
Complete. GCA complete, ready for brakes.
Bringing brakes on. Brakes are on. Your go for FSC bolt removal.
Okay. Sophie has some words.
Yes.
Go ahead.
But the closest obstacles are the dish itself. You can see it closest to your hand. I'll observe your ingress aid so that it doesn't go out. And the second closest one is right above your helmet. You have about 20 centimeters to the top of the grapple fixture. So I'll observe those two. Do not extend your body upwards.
Okay, I will not pitch. I will not pitch back. I will not pitch towards my back.
Yeah, and so if you had to make one error in terms of body position, keep your knees bended. That's going to be better. I mean, it's okay, but don't extend your knees. Okay.
Okay, good word, Sophie.
Thank you.
And Anil, you've verified reach the FSC bolts, so you can now ret to the S-Gant T-handle. And Sophie will take that glove and hap check, please.
Copy, inward.
And I am redded to the S-Gant T-handle. Confirm good lock.
Copy, you can open the bolt MLI flaps.
Nominal, hot dry.
Copy, thank you,
Starboard
Sophie.
open. Port open.
Okay, just as a caution, confirm that there's no platform motion before each brake torque attempt. So for Sophie, you're just going to be assisting and helping with those clearances. Anil, you can use the ratchet wrench to brake torque on the FSC bolts. Reminder that we're going to kind of go back and forth. So we're going to brake a half. We're going to go the other bolt and brake one turn, and then we're going to go back. So your first release is going to be exactly a half a turn on FSC bolt 2, which is the one that is closest to the FSC on the starboard side. Half turn on bolt number 2.
Half turn, bolt 2, starting now. Starboard bolt.
Yeah, that's concurred. That's the correct one.
This is Mission Control Houston. We're now 1 hour and 2 minutes into today's spacewalk. Both NASA astronaut Anil Menon and ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot have made their way over to ESP-3, which is External Stowage Platform 3, where the spare S-scan or space-to-ground antenna is stored.
Your helmet is very close to the thing. If you're done with the torque braking, that's good, but then you're really very, very close to the FHRC. To the grapple fixture, sorry.
Thank you. Half turn, Albert bolt. Felt a significant decrease in running torque with that half turn.
Copy. Good words. We're happy with that. You're going to release bolt number 1, exactly 1 turn. Bolt number 1, which is the port bolt, the other one.
Bolt 1 turn. Sophie, I'm going to get into position to turn it. Tell me if I'll ask you for your feedback. You tell me if I'm in a good position.
For this bolt, it's okay. We're in good position.
There on the right-hand side of your screen, you can see the helmet camera of ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot as she looks on at NASA astronaut Anil Menon as he works to break the torque using a ratchet wrench on the FSE bolts, which stands for Flight Support Equipment. There's 2 different FSE bolts that are holding the spare space-to-ground antenna in place. So he is currently working to release the second of those FSE bolts.
On turn, bolt 1, port bolt, significant decrease in running torque after the first half turn.
Okay, copy. Good words. You can stow the ratchet wrench in the crew lock bag and retrieve your PGT. And Sophie, as he's doing this, reminder that when he releases, we're going to have you in a position to stabilize the S-scan. We don't mind if you go on the zenith or nadir side, but we're thinking maybe the nadir side to get to a T-handle, but your call on which side is easier to get out to.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to go to the nadir side. The only down thing that I see about this is that I won't be able to observe the grapple fixture, which is the first obstacle. If you want to give some margin, because with the arm movements, there is some, it's very close. So we need some body down of the arm.
I think I have good intuitive awareness now, so I'll just keep this same distance from the bolts. Your call on what you guys saw on the Hecka, and
Anil, we concur. Thank you.
EGT is out and CAL 41 volts.
I am in good body position for stabilizing the S-GAN antenna.
Okay, Anil, your settings are Bravo 7 counter 2, Bravo 7 counter 2.
Bravo 7 counter 2 set.
You'll be releasing S-scan number 2, bolt number 2, the closest to the FSC. Expect 27 to 35 turns to fully release.
Bolt 2, closest to the FSC, starboard bolt. Expecting 27 to 35.
This is Mission Control Houston. There on your screen you can see the helmet camera of NASA astronaut Anil Menon while he is using the PGT, which is the pistol grip tool. This tool is used to bolt and unbolt various items on the external portion of the International Space Station and will be referenced throughout today's spacewalk. While he completes the release of this FSE, or Flight Support Equipment Bolt number 2, using that pistol grip tool, ESA astronaut Sophie Adenot is currently stabilizing the space-to-ground antenna while the final bolt is released.
20. 5. 30. 33. 'I think the bolt's released. I'm just checking. Okay, bolt releases to a hard stop, correct?
NA firm, yeah, we don't expect it to pop out. It's just to the hard stop. So we agree with you that that one is released. For Sophie, you'll be stabilizing the S-cant while Anil releases the final bolt. For Anil, this is a good time to check because you'll have, before your translation, or correction, your arm maneuvers. So if you need to adjust your TCV, visors, heaters, making sure your ingress aid is tucked in. And we'll take a glove and a half check.
Okay, in work, Ann.
I'm stable and with one hand on the T handle and one hand on the FSC, good position to stabilize the antenna. The one thing I cannot offer right now is clearances for Anil, the WION antenna. So I will have to reposition once Anil has good control.
Copy and good words. Thank you, Sophie.
And will I be in a night for a period of this holding when I make it back to the boom?
You have about 30 minutes, just under 30 minutes to a night pass. So it's likely going to be a little bit of both.
Trying to determine whether to put on my glove heaters or not. I think I'll leave them off.
Okay, we copy.
All right, I'm in a good spot, and TCV unchanged at 4. Ingress aid tucked, gloves nominal, and the visor is down.
Copy and HAP check.
Cap is dry.
Copy. This time, Sophie can give Anil the go to release the final bolt. Same settings, Bravo 7, counter 2, expecting again 27 to 35 turns.
Anil, stand by. Your left paper handle is up. Yes, it is now down, and I confirm the right one is down as well. So you're good config now.
Okay, I suspect I'm doing that when I'm touching the BRT shoulder joint.
Okay.
Let's just keep an eye on it.
I'll keep an eye. Don't worry. Got you.
Okay, are you in a good position?
I am in a good position. You are go to release the bolt.
Copy, go.
We concur.
Five. 10.